He went to therapy to heal. He didn't expect to unlock something he didn't even know was there. A memory buried so deep his own mind hid it from him. And then there's the man who left him. The one he hadn't spoken to in over 20 years. B.L. Lewis made a decision that shocked even his own mother. Part 2 is here. Disrupt and discuss right now.
I remember going to sleep and waking up, and I woke up in tears because I was like, what was that? I walked up to this man. He was standing outside his house. Literally, like, he has to be watching you to let you in. It was interesting, though. I had another one of those dreams. He was just standing down looking over me, and then he picked me up and was just looking at me like I am the greatest thing in the world. So
A ghost boy cries to himself, echoes of sadness, so loudly unheard.
That one was about just being a kid who experiencing depression, feeling very different, feeling very alone, feeling like the people in front of me like should be able to tell that there's something wrong, but they can't.
Let's switch back over to fatherhood, because there was something that, and I hope you can speak on this. You grew up with a bonus dad, right? So you grew up with a bonus father, and you witnessed some things early on in life. How did those experiences shape the kind of father that you refused to be?
So my biological father was very abusive. It was not only abusive to her, but was abusive to the other women he was involved with. Was not a very good guy. A lot of my siblings were around the same age. He was supposed to be my mother.
Oh, was a Rolling Stone.
Years. Yeah, a legitimate Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
He was, because he's still around and still moving, even though it wasn't good to me. I'm not going to tell what he was into, but it wasn't good.
Right.
So he was not good to the women that he was with.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing about this is I didn't know I witnessed it. He beat my mother to the point of almost killing her.
Oh,
wow.
Yep. And the crazy thing is I didn't know I was there until I went to therapy. And when I went to therapy, I remember the therapist was saying it's going to get worse before it gets better. I had no clue what that meant. And so I'm going to therapy, and then I started to have these crazy dreams. And I know that they call in therapy sessions, you're unpacking, right?
Right.
I didn't realize that unpacking can happen in dreams. The thing I did know is that you're in therapy, but the work is actually done outside of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You're there, you're having the conversations, but when you're going around and you're thinking about the conversations and your subconscious is doing its own work on what you guys spoke about.
Yep.
It starts to unpack itself. And so I remember going to sleep and waking up, and I woke up in tears because I was like, what was that? Right. And I saw, because it happened when I was 4 years old, apparently. And so, 3 or 4, and I was sitting in the car seat, and I see him get out the car, come to the other side. I drag her out the car and start beating her in the street. And then I seen him come and get back in the car, and she's got tears in her eyes. But she'd hurry up and wipe off her face, and she turns around to check on me. And I'm concerned, like trying to figure out what's going on. But she's putting on, I'm okay. Just, mommy's good. Don't worry, mommy's good. I remember I called my mother, and I was like, was I there? Because I had only heard stories that, he had beat her. And she goes, yeah, you were there. And I go, did I ever say anything about it? She said, you asked me about it one time when you were little. And then after that, you never said anything about it.
Wow.
So you suppressed it.
And there was another thing that happened. So I suppress, that brain has that way of protecting you.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
The narrative had always been, this guy hates me because I grew up for a couple of years having a grandmother. And she's passed away a couple of years ago. Her and my great grandmother passed away. She was 102. So there was something else that happened. So the narrative had always been that he didn't love me, and that side of the family didn't love me and that's not what was told to me. That's just what I experienced, because I went from having a grandmother to one day my mother calls, and we're supposed to meet and drop me off with my grandmother, and she doesn't answer the phone. And she pulls up, rings the doorbell, she don't come to the door. And then she never answers the phone again. She never answers the door again. I loved going over to my grandmother. She used to own a wig shop. That was a pretty big thing in the neighborhood that it was in. I would go and hang out with her at the wig shop. It was just creative, fun, nice lady. All of a sudden, it just stopped cold turkey.
Wow.
And what it was that they were terrified of my father. My father would beat his mother.
Wow.
What?
He was totally off the chain. Yeah. And she was scared. And so he told her, and then he told my mother, don't you ever try to have my MF and mama watching your son.
Okay.
And I look just like him. I look just like him. But so yeah, that was the end of that. So what was interesting though, I had another one of those dreams,
Okay.
and this dream, him and my mother was holding me, and he was right there with her, and then she sat me down in my crib and walked out of the room, and then he was just standing down looking over me, and then he picked me up and was just looking at me like I am the greatest thing in the world. So it was like a deeply, I was in tears in that dream because I'm like, wait, what is this? I've had this
Yeah.
narrative all my life that this dude like hated me, and then there's this
Right.
one glimpse of him showing, how I look at the baby now.
Mhm.
There's no better sight. So it was very confusing, but I remember it made me do something that like broke my mother for a second because she didn't know what my intentions were. But I had not had a conversation with this guy in over 20 something years. I said, you
Mhm.
know what? I have no expectation. What I want to do is I want to go and meet this guy face to face because the last thing I want is for him to check up out of here. I never had a conversation with this man just to see what he's about and see if
Right.
he's different from how he's been described and if he's grown, because oftentimes we don't give people the opportunity to grow. So I wanted to see. And when I walked up to this man, he was standing outside his house. He lived there. And what was weird, my whole life, driving past his house, a very distinct house, with giant
Duh.
gates. It's an old looking house. So it was like a spooky looking house. And he's got these giant black gates with these giant dogs. You can't walk up to it. You can't, there's no doorbell at the gates or anything. It's literally like he has to be watching you to let you in. And he just happened to be standing outside. And so I pulled up and I walk up and he looks paranoid. One, he goes, "Can I help you, sir?" And I go, "It's your son." And he goes, "Oh man, dang, you grown now. Heard you've been doing great things." And then he goes into this. He's very paranoid kind of guy.
Mhm.
I think he did some things in his life that makes him paranoid of somebody
Okay.
doing something to him. And so he gets to telling me these crazy war stories of things that like I don't need to know. He's telling me like gun stories. He's had to
Mhm.
like shoot at
Okay.
people and stuff. And I just sit there and I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, yep, this guy is wild. And I would say that dream was one reason why I wanted to go and see, but
Mhm.
also too is there's always been a whole side of me that I've never understood.
Right. Makes sense.
I hated him and I hated that side. And then I realized that is probably the root of my self hate because on one end, there are amazing stories about him that one of the common themes that I see is he was really big with helping the have nots.
Okay.
So it would be people that was just like, man, like I needed him. And oddly enough, one of my drivers knows him.
Oh
And
wow.
she would tell me all the time, he ain't that bad a dude. And it used to piss me off. But I'm like, he wasn't good to me, but she would just say he's struggled. He's troubled. And there's a lot of things that happened that kind of made him to be the way he was. But
Hmm.
there are these narratives that I heard from different sources that would be like,
Right.
he's super relatable. He's actually a really good guy. He's got a rough exterior, but he has a heart. And so there would be these other things that I hear, and they're like, he's actually a really intelligent guy. I know where my goofy, silly, will knock somebody out side come from.
Right.
That's my mama's side. But then there was this other side that could be super scary, at least if somebody crossed a certain kind of line to where it was just like you turn that fuse on and this dude
Absolutely.
is not related to that dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The super creative side, the side that loves nature and loves to go out and hike. I didn't know that was all on this side of the family. That's how I was at funerals because my mom and them ain't nobody, and I am the nature boy. I will get down in the creek. Nobody on my mother's side of the family is like that. What? Nobody. I can't get them to go with me. But on that side, I found out my great grandmother, they used to have a camper. They loved to fish. It's something that blew my mind. I had been collecting these typewriters, right? Just
Mhm.
collecting them. Mind you, I hadn't seen my great grandmother since I was a child. And even then, yeah, I think she was about to be 102 when she passed away a couple of
Mhm.
years ago. So when I was a child, she still was the oldest person I'd ever seen in my life. At her funeral, which by the way, he didn't invite any of the kids to. We all just found out about it and came, and he was pissed.
Oh.
But
Wow.
at the funeral, they showed old pictures of her, and she was in a room full of nothing but typewriters.
Are
Oh
you?
wow.
I didn't know. I
Oh
talked to
my
her at my
God.
grandmother's funeral and thought, wow, this lady she's still in her right mind. Like she would forget some stuff, but she could have a full blown conversation with you. Was
Hmm.
quick witted. She was. I never seen her young, and I did ancestry and stuff and started finding stuff because he won't tell us or would let us know anything. It was a beautiful lady. She was a gorgeous lady. She had it going on, working downtown, and I think she was a typist at one point, which typewriters were primarily a job for women back in the day.
Correct.
Look, I'll show you one of them. This one's over 100 years old, but she would have
Oh.
had stuff like this
Wow.
in the pictures with her.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. But
I
outside that,
remember.
I've read about like the history of the typewriters and things like that, but just hearing somebody's firsthand account of, you don't think about that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I use both. I have manuals and I have electrics over here, and you don't think about the process of that's literary history, right?
Yeah.
Where that
Yeah.
transition between, and it really do. Your hand is like working out when you're using that manual. And I've
Yep.
got some that are legit. Just you gotta
Oh yeah.
press,
And
you
then
gotta
you're
hit it.
typing,
So you're
and then you hit
typing.
the. Oh yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
yep.
there you go.
This is my other baby.
That's my baby.
These are who I cheat on my wife with these.
You know, she's safe.
Yeah, trust me, there's worse things to cheat with. Okay.
I'm like, go in there, cheat away, baby.
I got like 22 babies in here. We're all good.
Go ahead. Take your time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So how does that come into with your poetry? Because like I said, I know you like to type and all of that, but again, with all that's already happened, was it like a song you heard, a piece of poetry that you liked and you got interested in it? How did you make the shift and now you have poetry in your life? Do you go to those, what do you call those when you get up there? Yes.
Like,
Poetry
like
slams,
open mics and things.
Yeah.
It's just another thing on my path as a creator. I've been an artist my entire life. That's why we named the baby Artist. Her mom is an artist as well. But I originally started in visual arts. Then I switched to music. I played tenor sax. I played jazz. Then I started songwriting. Actually, I started songwriting before then. So for the longest, I was actually a songwriter. I'm actually pretty tight, like a Common. Like if you like Common or something like that, I say this: the underground is thriving, and those people are not going to be promoted. This is something that drives me crazy because I do feel like they use hip hop to poison our community. Look at who owns hip hop right now. It's not people that look like you and me. Now I ask you, like when you look at some of these super destructive artists, hey, go and do drugs. Hey, Black community. Even though the homes are incredibly broken, let's continue to promote infidelity. Let's continue to promote being a scandalous. Let's continue to promote being a hoe. This is something. So the greatest Renaissance man of all time. I don't think people are not recognizing what they're doing when they do this. So the greatest Renaissance man of all time, Paul Robeson, which is insane. They don't mention him in schools at all. But when you look at Paul Robeson, one of the things what a lot of people don't understand is he lost his mother young. His mother actually burned to death in an accident. She had this dress on while she was cooking dinner for the family. And somehow it caught on fire while she was cooking and she literally burned to death. So he had multiple siblings. His father raised them and they all ended up becoming something. One of the things that Paul Robeson's father taught them, he said, and it sounds crazy, so just hear me out. He taught them, do not ever let them treat you Black. And here's what he meant by that. Not Black by your color. Black as the social class for the rest of the world means a second-class citizen.
Right.
No, you do not let anybody treat you that way. And you also don't carry yourself that way. So when he said that, you know what that translates to me? And this is how with my kids, and I say it all the time, I'm not raising no niggas.
Correct.
I'm raising leaders.
Correct.
I'm raising world leaders. And I don't care what they do. I don't have it to where you're going to do this, that, and that. Whatever you decide you want to do. And there's boundaries, of course, because I ain't going to let you go out here, be a leader and kill. Like, no, a leader in the military or something. Other than that, you do not get to be that second class citizen. I'm raising leaders. So whatever you want to do, we're going to focus on being a leader in that. That's why you look at it, especially when I came into our oldest boy's life, he was a smart kid, but wasn't using it. No, we're not doing that. You don't have the option. We're not doing certain styles. We're not doing that. You don't get to carry yourself like a quote unquote YN. Okay. I don't care who likes you. I don't care who likes it. You don't get to carry yourself like that. What you don't realize is you are sending a message to the rest of the world that I am a second class citizen. Treat me as such.
Before we go into you being an author, I still want to hone in on father and husband, because when you were explaining a little bit, when you talked a little bit about your life with regards to the way you grew up, having a bonus father and meeting with your biological, how does that play into your life now as father, husband? The way you grew up, did that have anything to do with that?
Absolutely. My dad, I never called him stepdad. He wouldn't even allow that, one, because he was like, I'm raising you, I'm your father. As a kid, that sounds harsh, but I didn't contest it or have an issue with it. You raising me, that's just like my boys here. I'm raising them, their fathers, not in their lives. One of them is deceased. He couldn't be, but when he was alive, he wasn't in his life. He would definitely provide financially, but he wanted nothing to do with the actual experience of being a father. So all intents and purposes, I'm your father. And so that's how my dad was with me. He was my barber originally. My mother was funny. I was the only guy. She wasn't too keen on bringing me around, but once it got to that point of meeting my son, I was real quick. I didn't like him. I was a little kid, just like, nope, I don't like him. I don't like him, and I don't want you around my mom. And they'd be like, hey, little man, what's going on? I'm like, nope.
No, I don't like you.
No. But it absolutely plays a role because my dad, there's so much that I credit. And I actually, as you were talking, I felt bad. I'm like, hold up, I didn't even talk about the best part is the dad that I gained. Not the one that I lost, the one that I gained. There's so much in there. He's an all around good dude. He owns a barbershop here. He's in the middle of the hood. One of the things that's major is everybody who encounters him, everybody who knows Jake the barber, they like, yeah, Jake's a good dude. He's helped a lot of people. He's always helping people. I think some of his mannerisms rubbed off, but just he's one of those like thorough good dudes. And oftentimes I could talk to him more than I could talk to my mother because my mother has her love language is worrying. So she like, it would be some stuff like
She's
anything.
a mom. She's a mom. Yeah.
But it's like a superpower. If there was something, I'm like, hey mom, I need to talk to you about it. What? I'm like, I just need to talk to you about something. I'm like, just it's not that big of a deal. What? Just tell me. I'm like,
You know what we do to remedy that? And whenever I'm texting my daughters or they text me, I always start off, it's not urgent. I have to do that. No, really, because I'm
preemptive.
just like your mom. It's what? And I'll say, hey, it's not urgent. Give me a call when you get home. So then it's, oh, okay, it's not a big deal. Otherwise, I would have already been typing away. But they tell me, it's like, hey, mom, you got a minute. So they'll say, it's not urgent. I just want to touch base because I have something else to do later on. Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, that's how we start our conversations.
I'm taking notes.
I am so uptight.
What's funny is I see my mom and you as well. So sometimes it's just through Ashley when I can just look and see, I'm like, you and my mother have like similar traits.
Oh yeah, I come from warriors.
Yeah, and both business minded people. I think that also plays a role of just you get stuff done. There's no gray area between. You get it done. I call y'all the real deal. Y'all are the real deal, and I love it. I love it though.
Thank you for stating that, because full disclosure, I have another podcast outside of this. We talk a lot about dating and relationships. We talk a lot about Kevin Samuels, Red Pill, all that. So when you started off the conversation, my spidey senses was tingling when you started off about your wife, how you guys met, the bonus children, and then her situation with how many kids, how many fathers. Those are like red pill talking points, right?
Right.
When you started explaining more about your life, I can see how it's a nothing burger for you, because you had an actual good father, bonus father, but father. So you see
Absolutely.
the positive that can come out of it. But can you also see how people who are in the red pill that may have not had that type of relationship, the reason why they gravitate so strongly towards the red pill community, and not having a woman who has multiple kids, multiple fathers, how that's a red flag for them?
Yeah, I can see where they would land on that. I think things are unique to everybody's experience. But the truth of the matter is, I know a lot of people are just talking and don't know what they're talking about. Like they're outsiders. I would never sit here and do this and do that and blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I would never have kids. I said I would never come back to Indianapolis.
Did I?
Yeah.
I said it too.
Yeah, like I was for real anti-kids. And the thing is, I wasn't anti-kids because I have a problem with kids. I've always been great with kids. I just never undermined the responsibility that it is to be a parent, because I know me. I can't just be a parent and just raise a kid. I don't ever call it raising a kid. I call it preparing a kid. So I'm preparing my kids for I never looked at that and thought that was an easy job. And I think people take it for granted and just, I want 10 kids. And then they have 2 and they're just destroying them. You know what I mean? I can't sit with myself and annihilate you know what I mean? Just not work on myself. And then I create these kids who have my screwed up philosophies running around the world, terrorizing you and yours in every neighborhood near you. I can't do that. I think something that plagues our community and it's not realistic for our community is this whole thought and idea that from the guy's perspective of that being a stepfather is something negative or something to be down on. A woman who already has kids before you is worthless. And it just, that never made sense to me. And I don't even know, because I can't go back and I've always had the experience of having my father there, at least when I was 6. But that has never made sense to me, because some of these same people are going based off of, you made this mistake and now you should have to continuously live under the shadow of a quote unquote mistake that you have made, when I often look at the fact that, one, these children are not mistakes. Even though you may not have intended to have these children, I'm not going to sit here and call this human being a mistake. But then 2, I just don't think it's necessarily fair to throw somebody away because of something they did a long time ago that isn't punishable by death, who has since potentially grown. I made some of the same stupid mistakes that have cost some of my closest friends their lives. And it just wasn't fatal at that time. I got lucky. I was blessed. I didn't die, but I very well could have. I got a friend who died doing something we did all the time.
Right.
I'm no better than that guy. It could have been me. Of course, you have the ability under most circumstances to determine who you lay down with and how many partners you lay down with. There is the thing, like, I never looked at my situation. Me and the mother of my child, people were like, did you plan it? No. Was it a mistake? No. You know why? Because we didn't wrap up.
Correct.
Okay. She wasn't on birth control. Did we intend for this to happen? No, but you didn't do a damn good job of preventing it. I'm not going to sit here and dang it. Like, I knew that's how babies are made. I look at the situation with the mother of my child, my wife, but you're talking about somebody who, even from her own parents, the experiences she had, she never seen what actual true love is. Then you're just brought into this world. You're left to fend for yourself out the gate, pretty much.
Right.
then you go out into this world and everybody wants love in some kind of form. And you have
Absolutely.
not a single clue of what it looks like. You go through your life feeling ugly, unappreciated, and then somebody comes along and you're not even ugly, your self-esteem has been annihilated by the people
Right.
that raised you. Then you go into this world and there's somebody that shows you a little bit of attention and you have no clue that this guy is a walking nightmare. So you get with this guy and you're with him and things are good for a while. You have a baby with this person. They expose themselves and you start to really see who this person is. You're no longer with them. Then you go to the next person and this person is great. You marry this person and this person starts to show who they really are. And you married them because of the societal belief that you should be married when you have a child. So she felt guilty about that with the first one. Now this one, I'm going to do that. And then this person still turns out to be a piece of crap. But there are generalizations that I feel like the red pill community makes. And they just put this giant blatant statement over everybody. It's, oh, you got kids and multiple baby daddies, you just ain't you. And I don't agree with that. I've dated plenty of women who didn't have kids who were not even a fraction of how amazing she is. Not a fraction.
Case in point, when you were explaining your son's mother, right?
Right.
I get what you're saying. You have to look at this too, because I hear what you're saying, but can you also see where, at what point, and I hate to deviate, but I feel I have to say this, do you feel that at what point is the onus on the woman? You gave some analogies with regards to who this person decided to mate with, but it seems like they kept choosing the same type of person, just in a different form. So at what point do you put the onus on that person to choose better? Or to step back and not date? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So the thing is, I don't just put it like I'm one of those people that we all come from somewhere, but it's ultimately your choice to improve your situation and get better.
Correct.
Yes, even in her situation, she talks about it on her platform. She never feels good about that. One of the first things of us starting to date, she looked at me and thought I was too good for her when I had a crush on her since we were kids.
More comes into the story.
Yeah, she didn't go to college. I did go to college. These things are like very like societal attitudinal kind of things, to where I'm looking at it from a perspective of who is this person? What does this person bring to the table? What kind of qualities does she bring to the table? I'm looking at what kind of mother is she? She didn't need me to come in and rescue her. She was doing the damn thing on her own. Had herself on her own doing her thing. One of the things that she really wanted to do, she came from the hood, wanted to live in like a luxury apartment. And she got a luxury apartment and was living in one of the greatest areas in the city and was doing the thing. She didn't need me. As we had this conversation the other day, one of the things I love is she don't need me. I don't need her. We're here for love. She's by far my best friend. I've never had a friend like this. So it's one thing you have the whole relationship. But when you talk about friendship, it's like, yeah, no, I would rather, like, whenever I'm having fun, I'm like, dang, I wish he was here. Because if I got a number one pick every single time, it's her. And that was also how I knew there's no question getting down on one knee. So yes, I understand she's responsible for her choices. I could also say too, I had done the same thing. Never mind the kids. I had dated the same type of person in a different person's body. That was until I had a paradigm shift and had to realize, hold up, this, I could tell you the key moment that it happened for me. And I'm glad I remember this because I wanted to bring it up in this conversation. There's a book called The Way of the Superior Man by David Dita. And it's the reason why I have MFLS on my wrist. MFLS is an acronym, but it is an acronym for Mission First, Love Second. So this book breaks down feminine and masculine energy as well as their purposes. And what I realized is that for my early 20s and even before then, I was living in the feminine. And now, mind you, nobody would look at me and think, oh, this dude's, in the feminine.
Right.
Nobody would look at me and go, this guy's feminine. But what it was my pursuit was feminine. I was doing nothing but pursuing love. Love, 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 love. And as this book outlines it, that is the pursuit of the feminine. The masculine is supposed to be in pursuit of the mission. That once you have a mission and that mission is established and you're in pursuit of that, everything else will follow. I remember being like hit by that like a ton of bricks, because it's like when you think about it, right? What good? You're talking about a good man, right? What good is a man who doesn't have any mission? Especially when you're young, right? It's not that I didn't have things I was going after. It's just I was more interested in pursuing love than actually pursuing a mission. And had I shifted that focus and went for a mission, I would not have went down some of the paths that I just had no real need to go down. Some of the depression and stuff I would have never experienced had I been focused on mission, because I was good at what I did.
At the same time, sometimes Aaron and I will talk about what we coulda, shoulda, woulda, but it brings you to who you are today. Sometimes we have to go through certain things to get the knowledge or get the appreciation of where you are today. So who's to say that our path was, even if you took a left instead of a right, you might have been at an intersection or a roundabout and you still would have gone that same route, but just you would have had a scenic route getting through that same shit, or not
Right.
even shit. So I even tell myself, because again, there's always something that we could, if only I had of knowing what I know now. No, we were on this trajectory to do this for a
Right.
certain purpose. And
Right.
what you're bringing to the table is from our experiences. We have to sometimes embrace that as well as moving forward, because that's part of what makes us who we are. I'm
Yep.
talking to myself too, so don't think I'm preaching.
Yeah, no,
Right. No.
I'm following you all the way.
Yeah.
This book. So one, I go back. I love being a dad all the way around in general. I love it not only for my biological, I love it for my bonus kids. And I view it as to counteract some of the red pill stuff, right? And I don't hate the red pill community. So a lot of the stuff. I'm one of those people that is not like, I wholeheartedly believe what the Democrats believe. I wholeheartedly believe what the Republicans believe. There's stuff on each side that I can look at and go,
Right.
okay, that makes sense.
Correct.
Cherry pick that, put this stuff in the middle, and we can get somewhere.
Mhm.
Right? I hate the red pill community at all. I'm wearing a red hat.
I can learn something from. I can learn something from anyone.
You can.
I agree with a lot of the stuff that they talk about on there, but one of the things is when I look at our community, like Dr. Shahrazad Ali, right? When she addresses some of the things, I love her, but she tells the truth about our community. We can look at all this other stuff, but we got to realize we got our own internal problems that we need to work on first before we just join all these other communities. One of the things in our communities is the truth of the matter is we have so many fatherless kids. We have so many fatherless kids in public. I see when I first came into the picture. These kids are different from when I came into the picture. One of the things that like I will wholeheartedly stand on, being a father, providing a father to a fatherless child, especially a boy, is one of the most honorable things you can do for our community. I ain't talking about the whole situation with LGBTQ and all that. I believe you're gonna be who you're gonna be. There's plenty of gay men who had their fathers there in the picture. I'm not talking about that. What I am talking about is these dudes who are overly emotional doing things that cost them their lives or cost other people's lives. Very clear as day that they did not have a strong man. These guys who they don't know, I should get out, I should work, I should provide for my family. You see them and they're operating like a grown man who's really at heart a bitter baby mama from the 90s. So it's like you need fathers to provide that structure and to show you along the way, this is what you're supposed to do. One of the things with my kids, they're little, right? So they get mad and get all upset. I say, look, it's okay for you to get upset, but it's not okay for you to act a fool.
Right.
We have such a huge problem going on downtown, here in the city, downtown and just all around the city of young Black men just pulling the trigger. You can't even go down to the pretty places downtown in the city without fear of getting shot because some young dude, emotional, get mad and pull the trigger. That's ridiculous to me. A father is supposed to teach them how to handle certain situations. Now, obviously, if you needed to protect yourself in a situation, by all means, you have to protect yourself. But these guys they pulling the trigger and they hitting people who ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It's just the lack of emotional intelligence. Also, the lack of teaching our kids like the real deal. Like I remember one time hurting my dad's feelings when I was in college. And it speaks to a big problem today. When you ask a young Black kid what they want to be when they grow up, what do they say?
A rapper, athlete, actor.
Which that is, you got just as amount of chance of becoming a rapper and a basketball player as you do becoming the real Batman. Okay, like that is a 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
But then you ask kids in other communities what they want to be, and it is a diverse range of career fields that these kids want to go into. The problem is there's not a realistic standard set for, hey, children, this is who you should look up to. It's being cool is actually where it's at. But they still make fun of the smart kid in school. The kid that's doing the science projects and all that, he don't get no play. The girls ain't looking at him. You know what I'm saying?
We had this conversation last night on the show.
One of my good friends' husband he's like a techie guy. He's not there anymore, but he used to work at Salesforce. When he was a kid, he said they used to read the encyclopedia for fun. He was a nerd to the hilt. Her kids are nerds when they all start nerding together. Beautiful house, all the luxuries, because he was a nerd and he went to school. The kids are nerds and went to school. One's in her residency now to be a doctor. Again, it wasn't cool.
Yep.
But how do you stop it?
I think it starts in the home, which is a good challenge because trying to get the parents to clean themselves up.
Correct.
So that they can be appropriate examples for their kids. It's a great challenge. You know why? Because we are so entertainment based. When I talk about reading and I tell people read a book, pick up a book, I think people think that I like reading. I don't. There's so many other things that would be more fun to do than to read. But it's just for me, drinking. I don't like to drink, but being tipsy is pretty damn fun. But having that information is all the difference in my life. Not even just career-wise. I would not be a better person had I not got into self-development, books, podcasts, YouTube. I would not be a good dad had I not picked up books. I hated reading so much growing up.
You guys know
I hated reading so bad that it was reported back that they thought I had issues reading. So I was put in a summer reading program and everything that was like to help kids read. It wasn't that I couldn't read. It was when a teacher would call on me to read, I just wouldn't read. It was one of those things I was adamant about. So it looked like I couldn't read, but I could actually read. I just hated it. And I remember something I used to say, like when the Harry Potter movies first started coming out, I remember thinking, why would I read a 500-page book and I can go watch the movie? Right? I used to say ignorant stuff like that, where now I want to read the book because the book is going to have the details that the movie doesn't have time to cover.
Let's do this. Can you read one of your poems for us?
Yeah.
So we can talk about reading and literacy and your writing
Ooh,
skills.
I like.
Yeah. And this is from your book, Some Days Are Better Than Others, correct?
Yep.
We have an author on the show, you guys. An author. Okay.
Actually, I like this one. So this is one that's like, okay, so I'll just read it. It's called Live from Haulville, USA. So Haulville is one of like notorious hoods here. So I'll talk about it a little bit after reading. We couldn't wait for her to leave. Jimmy never watched us, so when she left, it was on. But in the meantime, we played it cool. But once the door closed and that white Intrepid pulled off, we bolted like alley cats. Ashy black ankles staggered up hardwood stairs. Emergency in the boys' room. We gathered around like a team of surgeons and we shimmied both mattresses from the bunk beds onto the floor. We pushed the mattress down the hall to the top of the stairs. For a brief moment, will this get us in trouble? Fuck it. We jumped aboard the Spring Mattress Express and Rocky plunged down the staircase. We crashed like bowling pins as we hit the wall. Everybody's alive, so let's go. Push the couch over there. Push the mattress right there. And we got to hurry up. We don't know when she's coming back. Okay, cool. Ready? Off the top ropes, Rey Mysterio jumps on a Triple H's shoulder and flips him across the ring. Kane chokeslams Sting. Rey and Kane go in for the double pin. 1, 2. Good God almighty. Sting and Triple H have both kicked out. Oh, no. But we need to take a quick commercial break because it appears that Rey Mysterio has been injured. As a matter of fact, he appears to be on the canvas crying. Snaps out of it. Oh, shit. I'm supposed to be babysitting and now Mari's hurt. Shit. She's going to kill us. Snaps back into it. Well, we hate to announce that this WrestleMania Live from Haulville, USA must be postponed until further notice. Because IDD should be back soon, and Triple H, Kane, and Sting need to hurry up and clean up this house and come up with a believable lie as to why Rey Mysterio's missing a tooth. Apparently, he fell outside. But shit, we're not supposed to be outside. Shit.
I love it. When you started saying Kane, I was like, is this Royal Rumble? Yep.
Obviously, it was us, my cousins, and I when my auntie left for work, and she would have killed us because she was a neat freak. My auntie was crazy. She would flip the whole house up if a sock was on the ground. But when she would leave, boy, we would turn that house into WWE, and we would pull the mattresses in the living room. We jumping off the counter and everything, and it's all funny games until somebody get hurt, and then I was in charge. So I'm like, but
you gonna get the beat down.
Yeah, and I don't know why I chose to read that one, but there's some that are more serious that are like sexual or.
It's fine. I like that one. I like this.
I'm curious as to the one that you had questions about.
I had questions about which one. Hold on. I gotta go to my notes. Here we go. This one, Dark Cries is the poem. A ghost boy cries to himself, echoes of sadness, so loudly unheard.
It talks about, so that's by far, it's so funny you picked the overall favorite one and the one that like means the most to me. And the funny thing is I don't remember the names of any of these. I wrote them like that. And I went through a whole editing process that was a nightmare. But actually, I've got the manuscripts here. It was a nightmare to write, but as simple as some of these were. This is my first book, but that one was about just being a kid who experiencing depression, feeling very different, feeling very alone, feeling like the people in front of me like should be able to tell that there's something wrong, but they can't. There's another one in there that kind of goes along with that one, and I can't remember the name of it, but the first lines of it is like a guy blew his brains out today. And, you know, I can't remember the rest of it, but essentially it's pointing to the fact that there's always signs that somebody is like going through something. Oftentimes people be like, we didn't know. We can't understand how he would do such a thing when it's like he was bleeding out in front of you guys and you didn't see it. And that is the perspective of a ghost child feeling invisible. That was something that I experienced growing up. It's like, dude, I'm in so much pain and everybody around me just, how's doing everything? Look, you got some Batman shoes, huh? And I'm sitting here just like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. I want to go away. So that one, that by far is one of my like favorite ones.
Okay. See, I picked some good ones.
You did. I thought you were going to go for the spice. I got some in there that are spicy.
He's going to save those for later.
That was light. That was good. I'm thinking like, all right, I'm going to be turning red here anytime. There's a couple in there. Like, so who is this about?
Nope.
I ain't trying to get you in trouble now.
We gonna say bye, and then you
Okay.
stuck, brother.
I was just gonna lie.
But yeah, there you go.
I know we covered a lot of ground, but there's one last thing because you kept mentioning it, is your ADHD. When were you diagnosed, or did you self-diagnose? Because a lot of times, I know for a lot of us, it wasn't common to diagnose children with ADHD. They usually call them intellectually disabled, right?
Right. Or bad as hell.
Right, especially in our community, and they put them in a special needs class or special ed class. So tell me, when did you learn that you had ADHD, and how have you learned to work within it?
I was diagnosed in, I would say, my early 20s. What made me look into it is I used to work at the English department, and shout out to Columbia College Chicago, that's where I went. And I used to work in the English department, and one of the professors, actually the chair, he had a whole library. When he was done with a book, he would set it out in this public area to where you can grab books. Anybody can take them. He didn't care. I had this book sitting on my shelf for years. And then I picked it up and read it, and I was like, yo, this book is describing me to the T. Now, I am famous for reading a book and not knowing the name of the book or the author. It's a book about this. I will not know the name of the book and the authors most of the time. But it was describing me to the T. And then I'm like, dang, this is crazy. So I turned back and looked at the title, and the book was called A Disorganized Mind, something ADD or ADHD. And I was like, I think I have this. So I went to the psychiatrist or whatever. Well, the psychiatrist is the one that does the medication. So I went to therapy, and they were like, you got to go to therapy first to then possibly seek out a diagnosis, and went through that process, which was a nightmare. Mental health is not easily accessible as it should be. And so went through that process, then was diagnosed, was put on medication. I did not like the side effects of the medication, so I stopped and instead started focusing on things that I could do, creating systems for myself that helped. But I will say, I had all the symptoms before, and I used to get in trouble. The classic things that, like, they say with kids who end up being diagnosed later is, you good at this, but I can't get you to focus on your homework. You can focus all day long. Mine was like, you can focus all day long on this drawing. I used to draw and doodle in class. It was full-blown masterpieces. I was great at visual arts too. I had won awards at all the schools, but I would do most of it in class. And what they didn't know, research later came to show, yeah, kids with ADHD, that actually helps them pay attention. But I remember they took away all my notebooks. I was the only kid that was not allowed to have a notebook freely in class. I had to have whatever we were working on. I could work on that, but even then I was getting in trouble for drawing in the margins. And so it used to be like, you so good at focusing on this, but when it comes to doing your work and your homework, you ain't good at that. And I wasn't a hyper kid. The hyperactive component, I guess, probably didn't make it as obvious, but I don't think I was hyper because I was hyper on the page. Like, I was full blown I would cover the page. And so I had the sign, and whatever it was that I was interested in, to the umpteenth degree, I would do it. My parents made a joke of me. Like, when I started writing music as a kid, they used to call me Joe Jackson, because they would be like, the way that you are on yourself for writing, and this is something I was doing totally for fun. My room will be littered with just balled up pieces of paper because it wasn't good enough. Wow. And so I just, like, meticulously to this day, and I am a great songwriter. So one thing that I will stand by that I know I'm good at, but it was, yeah, I had all the signs growing up. And then once I got diagnosed, I started looking into resources to help myself and learn more about it, and to understand, okay, it's not, you can't pay attention, you just struggle with regulate your attention. Emotional dysregulation, which is a very common thing. I used to thought I had an anger problem. The truth of the matter, I didn't have an anger problem. I had a sadness problem. I had a happiness problem because you struggle regulating it. So when I was happy, like, I'd be through the roof. I'm happy as hell. And those things can also look like bipolar, because it's when I'm sad, I'm Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. I'm the saddest thing in the world.
Right.
Or when I'm angry, the gates of hell, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, and Satan all come out when I'm mad, right? This is a course unregulated. Whereas you fast forward to today, we're learning about these things. And this is why I do think our community is weird with diagnosis. But I do think if you have the symptoms, you should go get yourself checked out, and you can get a diagnosis. That diagnosis is now provides a pathway to figure out and essentially reverse engineer whatever you want to be. So you want to be like, at my job, I know, okay, these are the goals I have to take care of, or the goals I need to achieve at my job. Okay, well, I need to do this in order to do that. I need to do that in order to do this. And it's totally different from how maybe somebody else who is neurotypical, it's just going to be a different system. And that was a battle sometimes. With my parents' stuff, it was a nightmare, because they're like, just do this. And I'm like, for some reason, I can't do that. I'm trying to do that, and it just doesn't help, or I can't stick to that. Yeah. Now, like, I feel like the way I have to do a lot of stuff is I have to, like, trick myself mentally into doing different things.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example, like staying focused. I believe I don't like to work out, right? So to stay engaged with working out, I would trick myself with the numbers. So instead of, I know I need to do 20 reps, all I'm doing is 5 reps, right? So only thing I would do is I would just count to 5, but I would just keep counting to 5 until I get to 20.
Oh
Gotcha.
God, I do that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I don't know, you might be on the spectrum.
Right?
I'm sure there's some people that would agree with you on that. Okay.
Yeah, I trick myself, or
hmm
the way that it works, like sometimes something as simple as making a phone call is like the hardest thing. And even though that phone call is going to be like maybe 2 minutes long, it's not even a bad phone call, right? It could be literally like, hey, I need to call somebody back. But for some reason, it feels like there's like a giant mountain in front of you. And it's just, you cannot pull yourself to be like motivated to make that phone call. There's something that my publishing company is called TOMAG. So TOMAG is turn off your mind and go.
Okay.
So in those moments where I'm sitting there, and I've used that in training too, where I'm sitting there and I know I need to do it. It's turn off your mind and go. And when I say turn off your mind and go, you got 3 seconds to just shoot. It actually came from a movie, Netflix, where it's like about this assassin. And long story short, he was trying to teach this regular girl how to shoot, but she was super nervous with a gun. And he was like, turn off your mind and shoot. And because he was accustomed to having to shoot people, he didn't want to shoot. Like, he was an assassin. He was hired to do the job. And sometimes he didn't have no beef with these people and he had to do it, right? This girl, he wasn't teaching her to be an assassin. It was this group of people was coming after her, and he was trying to help her to be able to defend herself against this group of people. She needed to know how to shoot. And because they were coming to shoot her. So she would hold that gun and just be like up here, and he's just turn off your mind and shoot. And of course, it's a movie, so it's over dramatic. But as soon as she turned off her mind and shot, she was a bullseye. Okay. That's where turn off your mind and go comes from. Just turn off your mind and go. And some of those tasks that are incredibly hard to do, because it can even be stuff that I really want to do. ADHD impacts your motivation centers. So it's stuff that I'd love to do. Or I would sign up for something like this, right? I was looking forward to this. But there's other things that I've signed up for. And then I'm sitting there and it comes time to do it. It's like I have to pull myself get up and get dressed. I just can't back out of this now. It's not that I'm fearful or anything. It's just I don't have the motivation to do it.
I enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it as well. I appreciate you having me on here.
We appreciate you. We appreciate everything that you brought to the conversation today with regards to being a father, being a husband, talking about leadership, talking about your endeavors on being an author, being a total creative, to be honest with you.
Renaissance man.
I know, right? We touched on a whole lot. And I hope the D&D family is going to appreciate this because it will probably be a 2-parter. So just
we went Lord of the Rings.
Yes. But,
was that 2 weeks?
God.
Part 46.
We'll bring you back because you touched on some things that we need to bring back to the forefront. We talked about some things that I'm like, we can bring him back.
Now your other podcast is the Red Pillar, so I can be the simp of the year, the bad guy.
We have actuality, to be honest, and it's tap in, shameless plug, tap in. We just talk, we have people who believe in the red pill, we have people who don't. We just have conversations about it back and forth, the good, the bad, the ugly. And so absolutely, we would love for you to come on. My other co-host, SDK, would love to have a conversation with you. I already know. Once he sees this, he's going to want to have a conversation. Yes, we would love to have you on Tap In, for sure. For sure. We can make that happen. You open to it?
Absolutely. And I was saying thank you for having me once again. I truly appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. We're going to have your book, the Amazon link, down in the description. And then there were a couple of books that you mentioned that I want to add to it as well, because you brought it into the conversation. And I want to give the D&D family the opportunity to go and look for the book that you mentioned. So if they're interested in it, they can always click on it and download. So most definitely.
Oh yeah, follow me on Goodreads too. I'm on Goodreads.
We're going to get all your information. It's going to be down in the description. So
yeah, Goodreads is like social media for readers. So you can build books. You'll add it to your bookshelf, like books you read or books you want to read. And then you're connected with friends. If they're reading in the Kindle app, you can see their progress. And then you have conversations. There's whole groups around books, certain authors. And this is not typical social media. This is real readers. So I'd love to. Yep.
Good readers. I think I've heard of that though. Goodreads.
Yep. It's by Amazon, I believe.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, there's some kind of affiliation.
Thank you guys for always rocking out with us. We appreciate everything that you guys bring to our channel with regards to listening to us. Every time we drop an episode, it does not go unnoticed. We are totally appreciative of that. And we always say to our Audible family, I wanted to introduce some of the new countries that are following us. Shout out to Finland, Germany, and the United Kingdom. I always want to give a shout out when I see a new country downloading our stuff on the Audible platforms. Obviously, the USA, we got love. Always. You are the top. I always want to shout out our international listeners. This was another banger, like I like to say. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.